Hi everyone, my name's John Meyer and I'm also known as the AWS blogger. And I put together these episode series, part 4, I think we're on, of why I left AWS. And I always like to reiterate that AWS is awesome. The services, everything there is about it. I enjoy working with the product and I will continue to work with it and I will still continue to advocate for AWS. It's not the services that really kind of got to me. It was, the change of management or changing of the guard. But before I go really into that, let me recap on why and how we got here and what I'd like to talk about today. In the beginning of the episodes, I talk about, working for an electrical company of the traditional, gotta hug your server type with the data center, and then starting off in a company with no AWS experience, all the way to an MSP, and then the AWS interview process. In this one, I want to talk about reInvent, specifically reInvent 2019, because in 2020, nobody went anywhere, which actually is why or where I'm at today and why that is. But that's a good thing, because I got to tell you, some of the things that I've learned about myself during the pandemic and the whole lockdown is completely amazing. Let's step back to reInvent 2019. A couple days leading up to it, I did a crazy thing. I actually got the AWS logo shaved into the side of my head, dyed orange. With my wife's help, while I was out there, she kept it nice and bright orange. And I walked around Vegas with this logo in my hair, did all kinds of pictures with people, really opened up a lot of conversation. And everybody's like, why did you do this, John? The reason I did it is because reInvent is a very crazy, hectic, hustle and bustle week. And I wanted to break it up. I wanted people to come up to me and ask and say, wow, this is amazing. This is awesome. Why did you do it? For you to come up and actually talk to me. And it worked out great for my partners that I worked with. I went to their booth, did photos, talked to a number of people. And I can guarantee that, I got to tell you, there was this one company that what I did was I posted on social media, Twitter and LinkedIn, and said, hey, listen, I'm doing this crazy experiment. I want you to come up and talk to me. Come get your picture. I'll collect stickers, post them, and do all kinds of cool things. And I can guarantee there was over probably 100,000 views between Twitter and LinkedIn, thanks to one of the companies that I knew about their product called Spot. A gentleman on there, David Deckel, who is completely awesome, was my biggest fan, and I went there in the expo center and I finally got pictures with him. But it was like their help, along with my partners, along with everybody on social media, that was like, this guy just did something totally weird. I got a picture with some of the top people. And it was just for fun. I don't know if they remember my name. I don't really care if they remember my name, but they had a good time. They thought it was really cool. Mike Clayville was one of those. His natural reaction to that was completely just, it was very heartwarming to see that he loved it and he enjoyed it. Speaking of that, the time that I went for that picture, I was at, I think it was Andy's keynote. And by the way, if you're an AWS employee, you do not get to go to keynotes. It's only for customers and partners. But you can be selected to actually go in there and be part of the crowd and help hype them up. And it's actually a fun time, you're supposed to clap, and enjoy it. If you remember my previous episodes where I talked about how I accidentally met Andy Jassy playing blackjack and the gentleman left something behind, and how I wrote a LinkedIn article on it. Well, after I got my picture with Mike Clayville, I sat down. This gentleman came up to me. It was the same guy who left a photograph behind on his seat at the blackjack table. And he thanked me for it, and he said, I read your article, and you captured Andy to a T. And it was really nice for him to come up there. I wish I got his name, and to this day, I keep searching and trying to figure out what his name was or who he was. If you happen to listen to this, message me on LinkedIn or any social media platform I'm on. I'd really like to connect with you because that resonates with me that you took your time out to come over and thank me. And this was Andy's childhood friend, really nice guy. And, I when I listen to Andy talk during any keynote or anything, I inspire to be like him in his conversation. He comes across so fluent. He talks so clear. And he captivates the audience. So one of the things I'm working on, and if anybody remembers, recently Jeff Barr released a What's New with AWS, and he told a story that took about 6 to 7 minutes, and you found yourself in the story. You found yourself imagining yourself in that room. There was one part where he's by the elevator and he's smelling this awful stench, and he's talking and describing this stench, and I felt myself smelling it, which was really amazing. All right, back to the actual story here. reInvent. I had a blast. And I always like the time because I get to go out and hang out with my wife occasionally in between the hustle and bustle. I was up at 5 in the morning till like 11 at night. Got back, relaxed down there, and then hit it back up again. I did have a couple of downtime. My wife and I actually got to go and eat some burgers at Guy Fieri's restaurant. I love the turkey burger there. This is not sponsored by anybody. I'm just telling you my personal preference. Okay. Afterwards, we had, so reInvent's done. January, we had our SKO in Chicago. Who picks a winner SKO in freezing Chicago? Of course, frugality wins, and AWS did. All right, we're at SKO, and, I've really got involved with the AWS DeepRacer team, and I was actually one of the original pit crew that could train other pit crew around the world. So we had a huge training session. Over 400 people there to train, and I helped do the various roles. The only one I didn't do was the workshop. I did the track boss, by the way. An awesome colleague of mine, David Smith, who is the track boss, who did happen to, tackle a car during reInvent, during the championship. The video is out there. I always share and talk about it. Some people say I should get over that one, but this is, really cool to share and explore. Now, SKO trained so many people. All of a sudden, the DeepRacer leagues came out, the events, the summits, and David and I were selected for probably about 15 various events around the world. Man, I had so many trips lined up, and I'm like, all right, which ones can I go to? My wife can go with this one because it'll be awesome to share this one. We were going to Paris, planning Sydney, Johannesburg, so many, all over. Well, that's when COVID hit, the pandemic, right there in March. My last flight, I think I did on the 15th or 17th, somewhere around there. I flew out to LA for the day, met with some top execs and my partners, and then flew back, and that was the last flight I did. Everybody was on lockdown. Nobody knew how to handle it. During this time, I created an AWS meetup, Lehigh Valley group. And the whole premise, I got my partners involved, and if you get your partners in there, they can do it and they can sponsor, and it's a really engaging event. It's fun, and you bring it back to the community. And that was my whole premise of bringing it back to the community. Well, that kind of translates into my next aspect is, where my career took off. I started doing a webinar series, and I hate the word webinar. Fireside Chat's starting to get right up there with webinar. Another one I heard of, masterclass. I didn't even realize that term. But anyway, so Fireside Chat. And I posted something, I tagged something on, and I met Corey Quinn out at our SKO. And I tagged him on it. And he said, yeah. And then all of a sudden, Jeff Barr jumped in there and said, yeah, I'm game too. Now, keep in mind, Jeff and I met, I emailed him previous year in August when I was out in Seattle and said, hey, I'm your biggest fan. Can we meet up? And the guy carved out 15 minutes of his time to have coffee with me at his favorite restaurant. He's such a down-to-earth guy. Leading up into that, we've talked periodically and, kind of stayed connected. And we just started doing this webinar series or fireside chat called CJ2 Pub Talk. And it's kind of, we did, I think, 3 events. And they kind of went in there, talk about the pandemic, talk about how we're doing live streaming and at home. Including Corey Quinn in a lot of the conversation. And then they kind of grew into this bigger aspect. We had various people on the show, and then we kind of get into a diverse culture and quality. And I found myself being a host, an MC on a lot of events. And, I did get a comment one time, well, you're just a glorified MC. Well, an MC takes a lot of work. Look at some of the biggest talk show hosts out there. They are MCs, but they are having fun and doing it. So I actually, thought about that and was like, thank you. I'm an awesome MC. Now, going off of that, it's probably right around the end of April timeframe. the changing of the guard happened. Now, if you keep in mind, I had an awesome leader throughout this entire aspect. My customers were happy. My partners were happy. My PDM enjoyed all the stuff I was doing and being my quirky personality. And the partner org changed. My leader went to a new role, and I got a new boss who wasn't a leader to me. And, you know, though he did leave me alone pretty much most of 2020, things were going really good, you know, and the reason I say that is because at the same time, a colleague of mine, I came up with what's called AWS DeepRacer Underground. And to really kind of talk about that is one of our partners had a tile track, and I asked, hey, can you send me your tile track? Nobody's going anywhere. No summits are happening. No events are, and I was huge in the DeepRacer community. And I said, you know what? I want to start bringing some DeepRacer events to the community. So they shipped me their tile track, by the way. PTP Cloud, thank you so much for the track. I know I thank you all the time, but this would have never been possible without you. Aaron Jeske, who really helped on that, Ethan and Gary. I set up the tile track. Check out my YouTube, the AWS blogger, and I have the setup of the tile track on there. I had it in my basement. We did a 4 championship race event to a final series number 5 event, and Jeff Barr joined us on that 5th one, and he was playing around with the streaming. We were having a blast. You know what? We had the models. I had the cars. Everybody sent me the stuff, and it took off. We did over 27 events in 2020 from not only my basement, but probably near the end of 2020, September, October. The colleague of mine started setting it up in London. We called that the London Loop. I was the PA Prime Loop. Kudos to my wife for naming that. And we had a blast. Everybody internally said we need to provide something for our customers, and we don't have a way to do it. Hey, John, will you do this? And the colleague of mine, a shout out to David, because him and I had the process down. Everybody was like, okay, we need this, we got it. Nope, we got this. We literally just had to full down. You had to tell us the event. We looked at the timing of it, and we coordinated everything. We announced it on social media. If not, it was on my private YouTube channel to host it if it wanted to be a private event. AWS's Twitch channel said, oh my God, the stats on you guys are great. The engagement ratio is up. We want you to do this every other week. And you host an event. We're like, yeah, we can do this. We had a process down for the community by far. Throughout the whole thing, I was, being my MC and hosting all these events and doing Amazonian talks and really racking up just the conversations and having a great time with not only my partners, we had a number of events for those, but also the community and engagement. Then came 2020 reInvent. Now everybody knows reInvent was held online, but guess what? They were allowing DeepRacer to have a live event hosted in Seattle. Okay, it was hosted in their building, Oscar. It was up there on the 21st floor, and nobody else knew how to do the streaming. I've never done these. Well, David and I did. Unfortunately, David's in the UK. I was the only one approved to fly. And they asked me, said, John, would you be willing to come out and, run this? I'm like, yeah, I got this. Hosted over, it was 4 private events for customers, and it was a 5th one hosted on Wednesday, a 3-hour marathon event for the machine learning community. I even had Jeff Barr joined us for one of the events, and we had, he was actually the track boss for it. We had the first ever head-to-head, trifecta head-to-head event on the track. It was a blast. I think everybody who helped and put it together and really had a great time. And the reason, one of my downfalls in all this is I dedicated so much time to DeepRacer and helping them grow in the community. And, everybody's like, John, you should be on the DeepRacer team or in the marketing. And the marketing folks said, yeah, we want you on the team. We even wrote it in the books for headcount. Everybody's like, I'm like, wow, I'm going to be on this team. By the end of 2020, I was on top of the mountain. Everybody was, all the content I was creating, not only with a great mentor, Jeff Barr, who is always so down to earth and willing to help on events and just loves doing these and having a conversation. everybody else that wanted to jump in there. Just because I'm not at AWS anymore doesn't mean I don't want to do these with folks. In fact, if you're listening to this series and you want to do a recording or event, drop me a message on LinkedIn. Actually, I should get my email set up because I haven't done that. No need to. Everybody knew my Amazon email. But drop me a message. Let me know if you want to do any of this. This would be really fun to put together. Rounding out like 2020, there was nothing else. We even did another Christmas event afterwards in London. You got to check out David in his quick Santa costume because it was too hot to continue on. All right, folks, I am going to end this here because I want to go into the next episode of 2021, the actual change and why I kind of left AWS and, what drove me to where I'm at now and the decision. So as always, my name is John Meyer, also known as the AWS Blogger. Until they tell me I can't have it, I'm going to continue broadcasting on that. Stay tuned for the next one. Until next time.